Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into something we all have in common, the past.
Okay.
Specifically, we're exploring this idea that it's not just something to leave behind,
All right.
but in terms of gold mine of insights for the future.
Yeah.
We're going to be digging into an article called Why is it important to learn from the past?
It's a fascinating topic, and the article really gets you thinking about those times you might be tempted to just bury an experience and move on.
Yeah.
What's striking is the argument it makes that by doing that, we could be missing out on crucial lessons.
It is kind of like we're all speedrunning life, right? Head down, focused on the next level, and we might miss those crucial power-ups scattered along the way.
Right?
I found it really interesting how the article uses 2020 as a prime example.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about a year that forced everyone to hit the pause button.
Exactly. It really was a global reset in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And the article points out that these periods of intense change, even when they're difficult, can reveal so much about ourselves and the systems we live in. Like suddenly, things we might have taken for granted come sharply into focus.
Makes you think about what your biggest takeaway from 2020 was.
Hmm.
For me, it was really hitting home that self-care isn't selfish. It's essential.
Oh, wow.
I think before that, I was kind of running on fumes without even realizing it.
Okay.
What about you? Did any big lessons jump out during that time?
Definitely. I think for a lot of people, the disruption to daily routines really emphasize the importance of being present,
Right.
almost like a forced mindfulness exercise where suddenly you're more aware of how you're spending your time and energy.
It's almost like 2020 held up this giant mirror and was like, okay, time to take a good, hard look at yourselves and your priorities.
Yeah.
So if the past is this teacher, like the article suggests, how do we become better students?
Okay.
The article offers these golden nuggets as a guide, which I thought was a neat way to frame it.
Yes, I like that approach too.
Yeah.
Gives you these bite-sized action steps.
Okay.
And the first one, release yourself, is so important because it addresses our tendency to get stuck in a loop of self-blame over past mistakes.
Mm.
It's like we're carrying around this heavy baggage that prevents us from moving forward.
Oh, I'm totally guilty of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I catch myself rehashing old blunders like a broken record.
Uh-huh.
It's like, why am I still punishing myself for this?
Right.
The article suggests something really interesting here.
Okay.
It says, to imagine a friend came to you with the exact same issue.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give them? It's a cool way to shift your perspective.
Absolutely. It taps into that idea that we're often much harder on ourselves than we would ever be on someone else.
Yeah.
So I'd put it to you, what past experience are you holding on to that might be holding you back?
Mm.
And what would you say to a friend struggling with the same thing?
It's a good question to sit with.
Right.
It makes you realize how much energy we can waste on beating ourselves up over things that are already done.
And that energy could be used to, well, actually learn from the experience and move on.
Yeah.
Which nicely leads us to the next golden nugget the article gives us.
Okay.
Find the lesson.
Okay, so we've acknowledged the past.
Mm-hmm.
We've released the guilt.
Yeah.
How do we actually extract the wisdom?
Right.
The article really emphasizes the importance of asking ourselves the right questions.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just dwell on what happened.
Okay.
We need to dig deeper.
It's about being an active participant in the learning process.
Okay.
And to help with that, the article offers some specific questions we can ask ourselves. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what were the positive outcomes?
Okay.
What opportunities were
Hmm.
created? What could I have done differently?
Yeah.
It's like a framework for analyzing our experiences and uncovering those hidden lessons.
It reminds me of those after-action reviews you hear about in the military or in business.
Right.
It's not about assigning blame.
Yeah.
It's about figuring out,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what worked, what didn't, and what can we do better next time?
Exactly. And applying that same mindset to our personal lives can be incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
The article even suggests scheduling dedicated time for reflection, which I think is a great tip.
Oh, okay.
It's so easy to just get swept up in the day-to-day,
Yeah.
but setting aside even 15 minutes to really ponder those key questions can make a huge difference.
It's like putting it in your calendar. Okay, 3 p.m. Tuesday,
Right.
meeting with myself to dissect the past week.
Exactly.
So we've released the guilt.
Okay.
We found the lesson.
Right.
What's the final golden nugget?
The last one is all about making peace with the past.
Okay.
It's called Be at Peace.
Mm-hmm.
And it emphasizes the importance of accepting what's done and moving forward.
Okay.
We can't change what happened,
Right.
but we can choose how we relate to it.
It's like that saying, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in wishing things were different.
Mm-hmm.
But that just keeps us stuck in the past.
And the article has this really powerful suggestion here.
Okay.
Write down everything you're holding on to from the past, regrets, hurts, grudges, and then physically destroy it.
Wow.
Burn it, tear it up, shred it, whatever feels cathartic.
Wow, that's intense. I can see how that would be a symbolic way of releasing those negative emotions.
Right.
It's like you're saying, I'm not letting this define me anymore.
Right.
Okay.
It's about reclaiming your power and choosing to focus on the present and the future.
Okay.
What steps can you take today to make peace with your past? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture.
Right.
Even a small shift in mindset can make a difference.
And sometimes making peace with the past might require more than just solo reflection, right?
Absolutely.
Like the article mentions, there could be real value in seeking support from a therapist or coach.
There's no shame in reaching out for help.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have these deeply ingrained patterns that we need support in unpacking and reframing.
Right.
A skilled professional can provide tools and techniques to help you work through those challenges.
It's interesting because we've been talking about learning from our own personal pasts.
Okay.
But what about learning from the past on a larger scale?
Oh.
I mean, history is full of stories, both good and bad, that can offer valuable insights.
That's such a great point.
Yeah.
It's like we have this vast library of human experience at our fingertips,
Right.
but we often don't tap into its full potential.
It makes me think about all those what-if moments in history.
Oh.
Like, what if we had learned from the mistakes of past civilizations?
Yeah.
Could we have avoided certain conflicts or made different choices?
Right.
It's almost like we're repeating the same patterns over and over again.
It's true, there's a cyclical nature to history, but by studying those patterns, we can start to identify the underlying causes and maybe even break free from them.
Yeah.
It's like, if we can understand why past societies rose and fell,
Okay.
we can apply those lessons to our own time.
And it's not just about avoiding mistakes, right?
Right.
There are also so many examples of incredible innovation and progress throughout history.
Yeah.
Like, imagine the technological advancements we enjoy today if past generations hadn't pushed the boundaries of what we've possible.
Think about the invention of the printing press,
Mm-hmm.
the discovery of penicillin,
Okay.
the development of the internet.
Yeah,
These were all pivotal moments that shaped the course of human history,
right.
and they were all built on the foundations laid by those who came before us.
It makes you wonder, what amazing discoveries are waiting for us in the future?
Oh, yeah.
And how can we learn from the past to make those discoveries happen?
It's really exciting to think about, and I think one of the key takeaways here is that learning from the past isn't just about looking backward.
Yeah.
It's about looking forward with a deeper understanding of where we've come from and where we might be headed.
It's like that famous quote by George Santayana, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it."
Right.
But I think there's also a flip side to that.
Mm.
Those who do remember the past have the power to create a better future.
And it's not just about remembering the big historical events. It's also about learning from the everyday lives of people from different cultures and time periods.
Right.
How did they approach challenges?
Yeah.
What were their beliefs and values? What can their stories teach us about resilience, community, and the human spirit?
It's like each culture has its own unique set of golden nuggets, just waiting to be discovered.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of humanity across time and space.
Hmm.
We're all part of this grand narrative.
Yeah.
And by learning from each other's experiences, we can create a richer, more compassionate,
Right.
and hopefully more enlightened future.
It really does feel like expanding your definition of the past.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just your own personal timeline. It's
Yeah.
like the entire human story becomes something you can learn from.
Exactly. And when you start thinking that way,
Right.
it's amazing how many sources of wisdom open up.
Yeah.
Books, art, music, even the built environment around us.
Right.
They all hold echoes of the past,
Yeah.
and they all have something to teach us if we pay attention.
I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like turning your everyday life into an archaeological dig.
Right. There are layers of meaning everywhere. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about this whole idea of learning from the past.
Okay.
It's a never-ending journey of discovery.
Yeah.
There's always more to uncover, more
Uh-huh.
to understand, more to
Sure.
connect with.
So wrapping all this up,
Okay.
it seems like the past isn't this burden we have to drag around,
Right.
but more like a compass to help us navigate the future.
I love that analogy. And just like any good compass,
Yeah.
it requires us to learn how to read it,
Okay.
to understand its nuances,
Right.
and to trust its guidance.
Right.
But the more we do that,
Right.
the more confident we become in our ability to chart our own course.
And it's not a one-time thing either.
Right.
It's this ongoing process of reflecting,
Yeah.
learning, adjusting,
Right.
kind of like those golden nuggets from the article, Release Yourself from the Past.
Yes. Those are such great touchstones to keep me back to, because
Yeah.
it's so easy to fall back into old patterns of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
to get stuck in regret or self-blame.
Right.
But remembering those golden nuggets can help us shift our perspective and move forward with more clarity and purpose.
Well, I think we've definitely unearthed some treasure today.
I agree.
So to everyone listening, remember that the past isn't something to fear or to run from.
Mm-hmm.
It's a source of wisdom, a guide, and ultimately a teacher.
And who knows, maybe by learning from the past, we can create a future that's even more amazing than we can imagine.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Welcome.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep using the past to create a future you're proud of.